Welcome back to TPS. Some NFL teams just always seem to have a major strength at one specific position. The Green Bay Packers have always had great quarterbacks. The St. Louis, LA Rams have always had great running backs. The Dallas Cowboys have always had great wide receivers. On the flip side, however, all 32 NFL clubs have a glaring weakness at a specific position throughout the last decade or so. And no matter how much they invest via free trade, free agency, and the draft, they simply haven't been able to plug up that one gaping hole in their roster. With that, it's time to dive into one position group that each NFL team seems to always lack.
At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video.
Arizona Cardinals tight end. The Cardinals were home to Pro Football Hall of Famer Jackie Smith from 1963 to 1977. The franchise was based in Arizona. However, the Redbirds have continually lacked a dynamic, game-changing tight end ever since, especially here in the 2010s. Rob Hausler and Jermaine Gresham weren't exactly household names, and former Baltimore Ravens Pro Bowler Todd Heap wasn't able to do much in his 2011 and 12 seasons in Arizona. The offense has revolved heavily around their running backs and Larry Fitzgerald, so Arizona hasn't made much of an effort to bring in a top-tier tight end, and it shows. Atlanta Falcons defensive end. Grady Jarrett has developed into quite a pass-rushing stud, but he's a defensive tackle. The hope was that Dan Quinn would be able to form a stout front seven and pass-rushing unit when he became Falcons head coach in 2015. But Atlanta hasn't been able to replace the production of the Pro Bowl defensive end John Abraham, whom they curiously released during the 2013 offseason. The Falcons' defense has been a massive weak link for the better part of the 2010s, and it all begins with their pass rush. Baltimore Ravens wide receiver. Following their Super Bowl 47 championship, the Ravens traded away Pro Bowler Anquan Boldin to the San Francisco 49ers, and they haven't really been able to find a true number one receiver ever since. Speedy deep threat Torrey Smith wasn't able to step up as a true number one. Former Carolina Panthers star Steve Smith had a couple of good years. Veteran journeyman Mike Wallace had one good year in B-Moore, but he wasn't the ultimate game changer. The reclamation project on Jeremy Maclin didn't go as planned. Diddle for Michael Crabtree. But the Ravens may have something in Marquise Hollywood Brown. Maybe he's a solution they've been searching for at the wide receiver position. Buffalo Bills wide receiver. Ever since they moved on from Steve Johnson after the 2013 season, the Bills have been scrambling to find a game-changing wideout. They traded up to snatch Sammy Watkins 4th overall in 2014, but he simply didn't live up to expectations. Robert Woods only became a stud when he joined the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, the Bills have spent their draft picks and money in building up a strong defense and running game throughout the years. It took them forever to find a starting caliber quarterback. No wonder they've had a problem at wideout for all these years. Veteran John Brown really began to step up for the Bills in 2019. Might he be the answer? Carolina Panthers safety. The Panthers have had plenty of tremendous production from their quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, as well as their front seven on defense. But it just feels like this team is always looking for a reliable lockdown safety. Trey Boston was serviceable, but not exactly an elite talent. Jarius Byrd wasn't able to revive his career there in 2017. And Roman Harper was a shell of his former self when he came over from New Orleans in 2014. Chicago Bears quarterback. If the Bears had a better signal caller than Rex Grossman, they could have won Super Bowl 41 over the Indianapolis Colts. Kyle Orton wasn't the long-term answer. Chicago got a couple of good years under Jay Cutler, but he overstayed his welcome in the Windy City by a couple of years. The Mike Glennon contract was a waste of money, and the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes in 2017. That's not very good. Cincinnati Bengals cornerback. The Bengals have had a nice 5-year stretch from 2011 to 15, winning 2 AFC North Division titles and a trio of wildcard berths. That was thanks to a solid offense led by Andy Dalton and A.J. Green, plus a stout pass rush anchored by Geno Atkins. But cornerback has been a problem here in Cincinnati for a while. If you disregard a 2015 Pro Bowl season from Adam Pac-Man Jones, the Bengals secondary has been an issue for quite some time. But this is what you get when ownership refuses to spend in free agency. Cincinnati drafted corners Darqueze Dennard and William Jackson III in the first rounds of the 2014 and 16 drafts, respectively. Neither have become stars by any means. Cleveland Browns quarterback. 2018 first overall pick Baker Mayfield figures to be the long-term answer at quarterback for the Browns, but it doesn't mean we should disregard the Browns' 20-year search for a reliable signal caller. From 1999 to 2018, the Browns had one season in which a single quarterback played all 16 games. That was in 2001 when Tim Couch performed the seemingly impossible task in Cleveland. Couch, Brandon Weeden, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, you name it. Plenty of draft busts there. Journeymen like Jason Campbell, Jason McCown, and Jeff Garcia couldn't fill the void either. Oh well, at least Mayfield looks like someone who can stay on long term. Dallas Cowboys safety. The Cowboys had a high-flying offense for the better part of the past decade or so. Their front seven hasn't been devoid of talent either, thanks to the likes of DeMarcus Ware, Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and DeMarcus Lawrence, just to name a few. But the Cowboys have gone through many safeties over the years, unable to replace the production of Pro Bowler Roy Williams, who last played for them in 2008. Byron Jones has moved to cornerback, and it paid off nicely, but safeties like Barry Church, Gerald Sensabaugh, Xavier Woods, and Jeff Heath haven't really stood out that much. Denver Broncos quarterback. John Elway probably wouldn't have a job if he didn't win the Peyton Manning sweepstakes in 2012. Manning has masked all of Elway's failures to bring in a starting caliber quarterback over the years. Ever since Manning retired in 2016, following Denver's Super Bowl 50 championship, the team has been held back by mediocre quarterback play. Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, and Brandon Allen all performed poorly in the Mile High City. Elway probably wishes he could have gone back in time and begged Manning to play 1 or 2 more years. Detroit Lions running back. When Kerryon Johnson rushed for 101 yards in Week 3 of the 2018 season against the New England Patriots, it marked the Lions' first 100-yard rusher in 5 years. Yeah, that's how bad their ground game has been over the years. In fact, Reggie Bush is the last Lions running back to record 1,000 yards in a season. That was accomplished in 2013. Kerryon Johnson looks like someone who can eventually hit the mark and end the drought. But yeesh, in an era where it's so easy to find quality running backs, how can one team go this long without a 1,000-yard rusher? Green Bay Packers running back. Aside from a pair of big seasons by Eddie Lacy in 2013 and 14, the Packers haven't had a true number 1 running back under Aaron Rodgers in the 2010s. They're always using an RB by committee approach with mixed results. The Packers didn't have a single 1,000-yard rusher from 2015 to 18. The ground game was so porous that they turned wide receiver Ty Montgomery into a running back. At least Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones looked like a pretty solid backfield duo. Houston Texans offensive tackle. Quite frankly, the entire Houston Texans offensive line has been a letdown in numerous years. But we'll simply place the blame on offensive tackle. Why they traded away Pro Bowler Dwayne Brown, one of the few O-line standouts in franchise history, is beyond us. Deshaun Watson took a whopping 62 sacks in his sophomore 2018 season. No wonder Bill O'Brien overpaid for Laramie Tunsil in a 2019 trade with the Miami Dolphins. The Texans had to do something. Indianapolis Colts cornerback. Frank Reich turned a horrible offensive line into one of the NFL's best during the 2018 season. With that, the Colts' biggest positional weakness goes right to the secondary. Vontae Davis was a 2-time Pro Bowler in 2014 and 15, but the Colts have been scrambling for a stud lockdown corner ever since. Rashawn Melvin looked like a capable solution until they let him leave in free agency in 2018. It's been a revolving door at corner for the Colts in recent years. The hope is that 2019 second-round pick, Rock Ya-Sin, can solidify the secondary for years to come, to be determined. Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback. David Garrard, Blaine Gabbert, Chad Henne, Luke McCown, Blake Bortles, Cody Kessler, Gardner Minshew, Nick Foles. That's a lot of different quarterbacks to go through in one decade. Did you need us to say any more? We didn't think so. Kansas City Chiefs cornerback. The Kansas City pass rush has been among the NFL's best since 2013, and the offense has always flourished under Andy Reid. But the likes of Justin Houston, Dee Ford, and Chris Jones saw their efforts go to waste for many years because of a horrible secondary. Pro Bowl safety Eric Berry simply couldn't mask these problems. Aside from 2 good years out of Marcus Peters, KC's corners have been a weak link. Steven Nelson, Terrence Mitchell, Kendall Fuller, and Sean Smith simply haven't done their jobs. Heck, picking up Darrelle Revis for the final stretch of the 2017 season did nothing. The Chiefs really need to find some corners if they don't want to waste Patrick Mahomes' prime years. Los Angeles Chargers linebacker. While the offense has been strong for the most part under Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Antonio Gates, and Melvin Gordon. Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa anchor a strong pass rushing unit, and the defensive backs are tremendous. But the Chargers really need a game-changing linebacker of some kind. They're going through different sets every year. Manti Te'o simply didn't pan out. Denzel Perryman hasn't taken the next step. It's worth mentioning that the Chargers haven't used a first-round pick on a linebacker since Larry English in 2009. They might want to change their ways. Los Angeles Rams tight end. The Rams haven't invested much at the tight end position. Be it at the draft and in free agency, you get what you pay for, right? Aside from Jared Cook, the Rams haven't really had any consistent or productive tight ends for a while. Gerald Everett isn't exactly a game breaker by any means. Lance Kendricks and Tyler Higbee don't make many big plays either. At least the rest of their offensive unit is usually pretty good under Sean McVay. Miami Dolphins tight end. To be fair, the Dolphins have had positional weaknesses all over their roster for a majority of the past decade. Name is one position that's remained steady in Miami. Charles Clay had some nice moments for Miami, but he was far from a Pro Bowl talent. Jordan Cameron could have been the answer if a series of concussions didn't force him into retirement early. And trading with the Broncos for Julius Thomas unsurprisingly delivered few results. Maybe Penn State product Mike Gesicki, whom the Dolphins drafted in the second round in 2018, can be the answer. Otherwise, the search for a game-breaking tight end continues. Minnesota Vikings offensive tackle. Under Mike Zimmer, the defense has always been steady, the ground game always dangerous, while Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, and Adam Thielen have formed a nice pass-catching trio. And hey, the quarterback play has been average to good under Zimmer. Just ask Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, and the 2019 version of Kirk Cousins. But the Vikings have really lacked some stability on the O-line for several years now. On the left side, they tried Matt Khalil, TJ Clemmings, and Riley Reif. None of them have exactly been dominant. The right side has seen guys like Brian O'Neill, Mike Remmers, Jeremiah Searles, and Phil Loadholt. And yet, Minnesota's offensive line has still been very lackluster for the most part under Zimmer and GM Rick Spielman. At least the group has begun making strides following the arrival of 2019 first-round pick Garrett Bradbury. New England Patriots wide receiver. Bill Belichick has had stability at QB under Tom Brady. Duh. He's always found ways to replace top-end running backs, offensive linemen, defensive backs, linebackers, and pass rushers. But for some reason, the man just can't develop star wideouts. How many studs has Belichick had? He developed Wes Welker and Julian Edelman into game-changing slot wideouts, sure. But Randy Moss was already a future Hall of Famer when Belichick landed him in 2017. New England goes through a revolving door of different wide receivers every couple of years. Chad Jackson, Aaron Dobson, Josh Boyce, and Malcolm Mitchell never panned out. Quality veterans like Joey Galloway and Chad Ochocinco couldn't get the job done in Foxborough either. For some reason, Belichick just can't find any top-quality wideouts to line up on the outside. It's his kryptonite, folks. New Orleans Saints defensive tackle, Rankins always hurt. Since 2017, the Saints have fielded one of football's deepest and most complete rosters. No weaknesses on offense. Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Thomas, and Marcus Williams have become total game changers. Cameron Jordan is among the game's elite pass rushers off the edge. But the Saints really have struggled to fill the middle of their defensive line in recent years. Injuries to 2016 first-round pick Sheldon Rankins hasn't helped, for starters. Nick Bailey would have filled the void if a heart condition didn't end his career early. The Saints' rushing defense could certainly be better. Jordan has really masked the weaknesses in the middle of the D-line for a while. At least the rest of their defense is mostly championship caliber. New York Giants offensive tackle. The Giants rolled with the polarizing Eli Manning for a decade and a half, and he led them to a pair of Super Bowl championships. But why has Manning's play declined so rapidly in recent years? It's simple. The offensive line failed him time and time again. More accurately, the tackle position. Throwing money at former Patriot Nate Solder flopped. Marshall Newhouse wasn't the answer. 2013 first-rounder Justin Pugh was a bust, as was 2000 first-rounder Eric Flowers. It's amazing how well Saquon Barkley has been able to run behind such a porous O-line that really let Eli down in his final years. New York Jets wide receiver. The Jets have had some fine playmakers on defense, a handful of productive running backs, and Sam Darnold should fill in nicely as their long-term starting quarterback. But the Jets have really struggled to find some productive wideouts over the years. That's when you exclude excellent 2015 seasons from perennial Pro Bowlers Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. Those two were the only Jets receivers to hit 1,000 yards in a single season during the 2010s. Decker declined quicker than expected, Santonio Holmes too, and Jeremy Curley never blossomed into a star after showing some promise in 2012. The Jets really need to find a way to improve their pass catchers for Darnold. Oakland Raiders cornerback. Ever since Pro Bowler Nnamdi Asomugha left for free agency in 2011, the Raiders have failed big time in finding reliable lockdown cornerbacks. They brought in numerous veterans over the years to try and fix it. Lito Shepherd, Mike Jenkins, Sean Smith, Tracy Porter, and Rashawn Melvin, but no cigar. 2013 first-rounder DJ Hayden disappointed too. Don't worry, John Gruden will find a good cornerback someday. Philadelphia Eagles running back. It's weird putting the Eagles running backs on here considering they've been home to some elusive rushers like Brian Westbrook and LaShawn McCoy in the past. But there's a reason why the front office is bringing in new running backs seemingly every year nowadays. After trading McCoy to the Buffalo Bills in 2015, the Eagles signed DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews, both of whom disappointed big time. The Eagles then rolled with LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi in 2017, and it led them to a Super Bowl 52 championship. But the Eagles didn't bring back Blount, and their rushing game struggled aplenty in 2018. So in the 2019 offseason, they traded for Chicago Bears stud Jordan Howard, and the Eagles also drafted Miles Sanders in the second round. And they brought Ajayi back. Will the Eagles manage to find some long-term stability in the backfield? We'll find out someday. Pittsburgh Steelers safety. Ever since future Hall of Famer and 8-time Pro Bowler Troy Polamalu retired in 2015, the Steelers have scrambled to replace his talents in the secondary, and it's been quite a challenge. Veterans Will Allen and Mike Mitchell couldn't fill the void. 2016 second-round pick Sean Davis hasn't met expectations. The Steelers drafted Terrell Edmonds in the first round in 2018. They're still waiting for a breakout there. The midseason trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick did wonders in 2019, but can he maintain this strong level of play over a long period? If so, we'll look silly for putting safety as the weakest position for the Steelers. San Francisco 49ers wide receiver. When the 49ers reached 3 straight NFC Championship games from 2011 to 13, it was on the basis of their defense and a strong rushing game. Definitely not the wide receivers. Now, Anquan Bolden picked up 2 1,000-yard seasons in 2013 and 14. Michael Crabtree was a big part of their success. But since 2015, San Fran has really struggled to find some dynamic pass catchers. There weren't any big seasons from any of San Francisco's wideouts once Jim Harbaugh left. Bolden took a step back. Free agency pickup Torrey Smith was inconsistent, and Jeremy Curley wasn't much of a factor. No wonder the 49ers added a ton of receiving help in 2019, including rookies Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd, along with veteran Emmanuel Sanders. Seattle Seahawks guard. Over the past decade, the Seahawks have had the Legion of Boom defense, a powerful rushing game, and a dynamic quarterback in Russell Wilson. Doug Baldwin, Jimmy Graham, and Tyler Lockett were among their top pass catchers too. But imagine how much better this offense would be if the O-line hadn't been such a problem for all these years. At least Russell Okung was reliable at tackle, and Max Unger was among the league's top centers in Seattle before he was traded to the New Orleans Saints in 2015. The guard position has been a massive issue for the Seahawks under Pete Carroll. DJ Fluker, Luke Jokel, and Justin Britt were among the guys that Seattle tried, but they simply didn't pan out. Tennessee Titans wide receiver. The Titans have been mired in mediocrity throughout the 2010s. The inability to find playmaking wideouts is a key reason why. The rushing game has been strong with the likes of Chris Johnson, DeMarco Murray, and Derrick Henry. Nate Washington and Kendall Wright were the only Titans receivers to hit 1,000 yards over the course of the decade, doing so in 2011 and 13 respectively. Rashard Matthews and Kenny Britt were pretty good, and Corey Davis had a quality 2018 season, but none of them could be classified as game changers. The Titans need to invest more money and draft picks into wideout if they want to fix this real perennial problem. Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back. Other than a couple of big seasons from Doug Martin, there has been zero stability at running back for the Buccaneers in the Jameis Winston era. They've tried guys like Peyton Barber, Charles Sims, Jaquez Rogers, and Ronald Jones. None of them have been able to elevate their play. If only Martin was able to stay healthy and produce more consistently. Simply running a one-dimensional passing offense has led to nothing but disappointment in Tampa Bay. Washington Redskins wide receiver. The Redskins haven't had many positions of strength under owner Dan Snyder. There's a reason why DC is home to one of the worst and most dysfunctional organizations. But wide receiver especially has been a problem in Washington over the years, if you exclude a few good seasons from Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. Even before the duo arrived, the Redskins had nothing to offer in 2011 and 12. As good as Garçon and Jackson were in DC, you couldn't put either in that class of elite wideouts. They didn't take over games like Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, and Antonio Brown. Jamison Crowder and Josh Doxson made some big plays with the Redskins following the departures of Garçon and Jax. But again, these weren't stars, not even close. Of course, it's hard to develop great wideouts when you're changing quarterbacks every year. What do you think is the biggest positional weakness that your favorite team has been faced with over the past decade or so? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.